those of you who are new to us or are new to myself and the team here at Urban Sketch Course, my name is Rebecca. I'm going to be hosting this evening. I also have my team, Lucy and Kayla. Hard to tell them apart at the moment because they're both redheads and they both have the same name. We're both under Urban Sketch Course. But yeah, we're a team of female redheads apparently. And Neil, who has no hair whatsoever.
And Cam has
no hair. So
we
yeah,
a red head wig.
So just a little bit of housekeeping from me. I'm sure you're all very familiar with Zoom at the moment. We are going to ask everyone just to mute themselves, and Kayla or Lucy will ping through and just mute anyone who's not myself or Ian throughout the chat, so that there's no noise, there's no phone calls interrupting us. We don't want to know what you're having for your tea. I have dogs as well, so I'll mute myself when I'm not talking because one of them's decided to play with the ball, so I've confiscated it off him for now. Typical disturbances there. This meeting is being recorded as well, so if you have to shoot off at any point, don't worry, we'll upload it to the site and we'll upload it to YouTube tomorrow. If you do have questions to talk about, we do encourage them. Please pop them into the chat, and we'll be keeping an eye on the chat box. Some things we'll be able to help you with straight away, and other things we can ask Ian for support on that as well. We also have Annie here with us from MISA, which is Madeline Island School of Art, and this course was filmed in partnership with them, so it's lovely to have her along, and thank you very much for joining. Hopefully it's not too early in the morning for you here. So that's me, and I will hand you across to Ian to begin with while I set up some of the technicals.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's so lovely to see all of you. And thank you so much for joining us. So just to give you like a bit of a background. Oh, hello, someone needs to be muted there. So just to give you a bit of a background in what's going to happen, we're going to give you an overview of the new course that we've just put together for you. We're going to show you some slides of some of the demonstration sketches and kind of explain a little bit about what we've actually done, how we've created this course, how it's different from lots of other courses that we've done. Talk about my connection with Madeline Island School of the Arts, who are really my inspiration behind putting this whole thing together. I think Annie's going to come on and talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to really talk about some of the demonstration sketches that we've done and what the inspiration behind them really is and what the focal point for each one is as well. And then we're going to answer lots and lots and lots of your questions. So we kind of want this to be informative for you, to give you an insight into what we do, but also hopefully it'll be fun as well, because we try and keep everything as much fun as possible, because sketching and art and creativity have to be fun to balance out all the other stuff that's going on there at the moment that we don't want to talk about. So creativity and art has to be fun. So we really hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for joining us. If anybody's going to unmute themselves though and ask questions, can you kind of make the questions easy? I don't want hard questions tonight. Okay, nice, easy questions are great. Like, what's your favorite pen? That kind of stuff is great. No deeper than that. All right, I'm only joking.
Okay, Brill, if we're ready to get started, we've got a brief presentation for you this evening. And we do have a Q&A. Let me just actually bear with me. Oh, yeah, this one. Okay. Lucy, am I sharing the right screen? No.
No.
Really?
That was your recent Amazon shop.
There we go. Now am I sharing the right screen? Amazing. Thank you very much. So first of all, welcome. It's lovely to have you all with us this evening. This is the first, well, it's not the first Q&A we've done, but it's probably the biggest and the first one that we've done of this scale. So yeah, please bear with us for this. Urban Sketch course has been going since around 2018 when we filmed our first course with Ian. And as a lot of you know, over lockdown, we kind of developed a lot more online courses, and that grew into in-person workshops. And I'm sure a lot of you here are on our Urban Sketch Plus membership. So if you want any more information about any of that, please drop a message in the chat and Lucy will be able to drop you a link. I'm sure most of you have done some of our courses. Some of you are on our free course as well, which is available to anyone and everyone. And a lot of you are familiar faces who we see every week on these kind of calls. So whether it's your first time or you're a familiar face, welcome. These are some of our behind the scenes images. So you're able to see a little bit about us and who we are. George. We're a very happy, down to earth bunch of people. Myself and Lucy have been working on the course for a few years now. I've been here since the very start, and Kayla has recently joined us. We very successfully ran in-person workshops with Ian, and we've sold out. So if you want to join us, you'll have to wait till 2026, unfortunately. As you know, we're all a very dog mad bunch of people, so I'm sure you've seen Ian's dogs pop up in many of our courses because they come with us. They have a little holiday with us. And I think Stan prefers me to you, Ian, doesn't
he? Yeah. Well, Stan actually prefers anybody to me at the moment because I'm not talking to him.
What's he done?
Me and Stan have fallen out. I was watching the Olympics before and he jumped up on my knee and he spilled my tea. So I had to go and change my jeans. I had hot tea spilled all over him. So we're not talking. That's why he's not on the couch behind me, because he's been locked out of the room. I've actually locked the door so he can't come in. So me and Stan are not on good terms at the moment. So if anybody wants it, a Labrador, they're going cheap in Hoylake at the moment.
Poor Stan. And you can see the what I was talking about, Neil, before. Cam's managed to hide it quite well with a hat. So that's a little bit behind the scenes about us. This Q&A is to celebrate our brand new course, which was filmed in partnership with Madeline Island, which is the Wild West sketching course. So those of you who are an Urban Sketch Plus member, it will launch to you on the 9th. And those of you who aren't, it will be available to everybody on the 11th of August. And then I think, Annie, I don't know if you want to jump in a little bit here, or yourself, Ian, just with a little bit of the inspiration that comes from this course and how we've created it for you guys.
Okay, well, if I can just say a few words, then I'll bring Annie in if that's okay. So this course is really special for me personally, because I've been traveling to America now for about 6 years, and I think I've been over there about 12 or 13 times. And one of the things that I try and do in my work is I try and sketch stories. That's what my work is all about. And I try and teach the sketching of stories to other people. So my association with MISA, Madeline Island School of Art, goes back quite a few years now. And because of them, I was able to go to Tanque Verde Ranch. And it's a place that I've always wanted to go to, not so much the ranch, but the kind of Wild West of America. And it's really because of Annie and Charlie and Misa that I've had an opportunity to go there. So this course has really been put together in conjunction with them, and they have been the inspiration behind it for me, because through my partnership with them, the in-person workshops that I do, I've managed to find all of these wonderful subjects. So Annie, would you like to come in a bit now for me, please?
Well, congratulations on this fantastic workshop that you're about to launch, Ian, and the rest of you guys at Urban Sketch Course. We're thrilled for you guys. And I think for all of your people that are following you and on Urban Sketch Course, you will be, without a doubt, absolutely taken care of. I've had a sneak peek of what is involved, and we had a great time shooting all of this product and content when you were here last, or when you were with us. But it's also a representation of our wonderful relationship that we have with Tanque Verde and the many workshops that we put on with them. So we are thrilled to be able to give you guys this product to present to all of your Urban Sketch Course participants. So well done and congrats.
Thanks, Annie. And I just want to add to that, because when I obviously go out to Arizona or Santa Fe or Madeline Island, wherever I might go in America with MISA, you know, I'm teaching in-person workshops, and I try and translate that into the online workshops that I'm doing with Rebecca and Cam and Lucy and the rest of the team. But what I found so helpful for me when I was filming all these workshops was because I'd done the in-person ones before, a lot of the kind of learning objectives, a lot of the process, a lot of the understanding and my relationship to the subjects, it really helped, because here you can see the students last January working on location. And I know within this shop, there's actually a few plus members, and there's a few members there that have done lots of online workshops, but this is the actual in-person workshop, and they're sketching the chuck wagon. Now, after we finished sketching the chuck wagon, me and Annie did some filming with a videographer. We called him American Cam, because English Cam couldn't come over there. He was busy doing something else. So we filmed with an American videographer, and we did footage of this very same subject, which I then produced in the studio. So without actually being there on location, you know, it would have been different. It wouldn't have quite been the same. So going over there really helped me to kind of capture the scenes and work out 5 very distinctive kind of subjects which we put together for you. So it's very much a kind of partnership, and I kind of love that. It's important to me to kind of bring, you know, different strands of my profession together, the online stuff and the in-person stuff.
What's wonderful, Ian, is that we're seeing a lot of Urban Sketch Plus and Urban Sketch course members who are perhaps stateside coming to do in-person workshops with us. So we appreciate this partnership, and we'll continue to work with you guys going forward if possible.
Oh, thank you. Well, I know there's probably quite a few plus members here that have done workshops with me. I know Marianne's here, and she's done loads and loads with me in America with you guys, and she's a plus member. And like when we were on Madeline Island, she did a little presentation for all the other students on how the plus membership works, which is so lovely. So Marianne, I know you're there. Thank you so much. The check is in the post.
Yes, it's a wonderful community you guys have created. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Annie.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting as well. So we have a quick little video for you. I'm sure a lot of you will have seen some of our snippets already on YouTube and social media, and some via email. We have a quick little trailer video to give you a snippet of what the Wild West course is going to be like, which I'll share for you now. That just gives such a great example of the vibe of the course and how much of that Western feel you can get across in it, and some little snippet examples of the artwork that Ian created there too, which was wonderful. So we'll start off by looking at some of Neil. I've just said Neil because I've read it in the chat, then I meant Ian.
That's because half the people on this course are called Neil. Half the people watching
this. Say everyone's Neil.
There's so many Neils everywhere. Yeah. So what we're going to do now, everybody, we're going to go through the 5 workshop demonstration sketches, which I'm sure some of you have seen because I've been posting some of these, or we've posted some of them on social media. But I kind of want to go through them now because I'd just like to talk a little bit about the focus behind each one. And by the way, we haven't mentioned it yet, but at the end of this webinar, don't go away because there is going to be a competition to win 2 originals. Not these originals, but black and white sketches that I did for the Trail Falls workshop, which we put out a few weeks ago. So don't go away because we are going to give away 2 originals as prizes. So this one is the ranch. And the focal point for this really is the relationship between the 2 elements, the 2 main elements, which is the tree, the eucalyptus tree, which is vertical, and the ranch itself, which is horizontal. So it's that cross composition, which is quite unusual. That structure is a kind of cross shape. And it's really about the space created by these two structures, and also the corrugated roof as well. So when you see this workshop, you'll see it broken down into lots of steps, lots of stages. And one of the things that we do for anybody who's not done a workshop with us before, we do this thing called walking into scene, which is me obviously walking into the scene, because that's why it's called walking into scene. And I kind of talk about all the things that captivate me within this particular picture, and within every picture as well. And it's kind of trying to simulate the effect of really being there with me on location. So I'll walk into the scene, I'll walk along the path, I'll touch the bark of a tree, I'll look at all the different wheels, wonder why they're all there, focus on all the different foliage and the shapes that's created, and then all the patterns within the corrugated roof as well. So you'll see that in all of the video footage. So if we look at the next one, please. Is that okay, Lucy? So this is the wagon, this is the chuck wagon. Now the focal point behind this, obviously it's the shape of the wagon, trying to make it look fairly realistic. But this is all about storytelling and telling the story. Now I don't know the story, obviously. I don't know the story behind this wagon, how it arrived here, what it was carrying, who owned it, you know, what the story was about these incredibly brave, perhaps pioneers who made their way west in the 19th century. I don't know any of that, but it doesn't matter, because what I'm doing is I'm just thinking. And art and creativity encourages you to really step back in time and just think and explore the things that you can see. So the rusted rings that you can see there, the hubcaps that are kind of poking out between the stumps of the tree trunks, and then you've got all those saguaro cactus trees falling away in the distance and the canopy. So this is just storytelling. This is what urban sketching is all about, the opportunity just to capture your story and the story of what you can see. So this is the next one. This is the homestead. This is just up above the ranch. And the focus of this is really about the different textures that you can see in the man-made structure of the homestead and those wonderful saguaro cactus trees. So this is all about patterns and textures. And then you've got all the stones and the dry grasses and the prickly pear cactus at the bottom as well. So it's really looking at patterns and the relationship between them, the man-made structures, the brick, the stone, and then the cactus trees as well. And this is really the kind of stuff that draws me towards wanting to sketch these kind of subjects, because these are so different from anything that I'm ever likely to see in England. And if I did see something like this in Hoylake, for example, I'd be really frightened and I'd be scared, because you're just not expecting it at all. But when you go to this particular wonderful part of America, this is what you see, this is what you get. And all you want to do, guys, is just draw it, paint it, sketch it. It's magical. It's so good for you. So this is the cards, obviously. Hopefully you can see how all of these subjects are very, very distinctive and, for me, characteristic of the Wild West. So this is all about shapes and how almost abstract shapes, so the negative space that you can see between the spokes throw up these wonderful, wonderful patterns. You've got light against dark, dark against light, and I'm going in very, very carefully with the texture and with the patterning as well. So this is a much closer view than perhaps some of the other ones. So it's more like drawing something which is, you know, the distance between you and your subject is much closer, so you can really investigate detail and patterns and textures and be quite kind of playful with the shapes that get thrown up. And then the final one, or the final one of these, is the landscape. And this is about trying to create space, but it's not just space in terms of how you could maybe create tone and depth, but it's also to do with scale. So this is like looking at sorry, I keep getting distracted because in the chat there's like loads and loads of names coming up for me. Quick draw Fennelly. That's why I'm getting distracted here, guys. There's so many great names coming up. I'm just stuck for choice. So this is about scale. Okay, so you've got the big cactus in the foreground, you've got medium ones in the midground, and you've got the little tiny ones poking up in the background. And so this focal point really is trying to capture a landscape, a very distinctive landscape, using scale, using pattern, using texture, using tone, using color. and just layering it and having, oh my goodness, Trisha, I love that one. Tombow Kid, that, and Butch Fennelly. Wow, these are great. Sorry, I'm completely distracted now because this is what I've always wanted to be. I nearly said cowboy then. I've always wanted to be. Annie, is it a wrangler? Wrangler? What do I call
Yes,
it?
they call them Wranglers now, not cowboys or cowgirls. Wranglers just a much more PC word.
Okay, thank you so much. Right, okay, I've completely got distracted here. Can we look at the next slide, please, Lucy? Thank you. Now, this is a Sundance Valley. Guys, you've got to stop. I'm gonna have to like get rid of this because it just keeps popping up and I can't remember what I'm meant to be talking about. Now, this is obviously a horse, as you can see. And this is a bonus one. So this is just a black and white bonus one that we've put together for you. I think this is done only in 2 steps because all the other ones are broken down into lots and lots and lots of steps, but this one is just in 2 steps. So that is basically giving you an overview of content that is available for you. Billy the Fen. Oh, this is just hilarious. I love this. This is so good. Right. Have we got, is that the end of the presentation? Sorry, guys, that was the worst presentation I've ever done, but I was massively, massively distracted. Now, we also do in this course for you, and this is, for those of you that haven't done a course with us before, you might find this really, really interesting, or you might not, I don't know. But we do also do ones that got away. So when we're filming, and Annie really helped me with this on location, when we're filming, we look at scenes that we can't do for whatever reason. And I do this with in-person workshops as well. So we talk about, you know, the wagon, for example. You can see the big wagon there. We didn't do that one because we did a smaller wagon, which is a little bit cuter. We didn't do the homestead from that particular angle at the bottom, probably because the light was in the wrong place. I can't remember, or maybe the horses were walking past and they perhaps just dropped something, I don't know. And I know the one above, we didn't do that one because, again, it just wasn't the right conditions. Maybe we're in somebody's way, or maybe the sun was in our faces, or for whatever reason. So we talk about ones that we can't do. And this is very relevant for anybody who's going out sketching, you know, because it's important to kind of choose the right subjects and be aware that sometimes the best subjects that look wonderful and inspiring are not always practical to do. So we do a lot of that. We talk a lot about ones that get away, and also ones that you perhaps shouldn't do as well, that maybe look amazing, but they have got no structure to them. It's hard to read the space or whatever it might be. So there's a lot of that embedded within the workshop as well.
And then we have time for questions. So I have some questions that people have been submitting already, but please feel free to drop them into the chat as well. And I'm sure we'll get round to everybody's. So let's start off, Ian, with what inspired you to choose this topic?
Okay. Well, we kind of touched upon that already. So, I mean, I chose these subjects because as a kid growing up in the UK, I've always been fascinated by the Wild West. I mean, I've seen all the films and I've always wanted to go out there. And when I've been to America lots, but going with Misa, going with Annie and Annie's dad, Charlie, you know, they take me around, you know, off the beaten track. So I got a chance to go to places that I'd not seen before. And then when I went to the ranch, I did obviously lots of in-person workshops. And then we decided to make the film because I was just so inspired by these subjects. And when I started putting it together with the help of Annie, I wanted to do 5 very distinctive subjects. I didn't want to do, you know, lots of buildings. I wanted to do at least maybe 2 buildings, but I wanted to do vehicles as well, and I wanted to do landscapes. So I wanted to do that real wonderful variety. So within each workshop, we can be teaching students different ways of capturing different subjects, which is what I try and do, you know, with all my subjects, all my workshops. So the inspiration was really just wanting to tell a story about my interpretation of these incredibly iconic landscapes. And I always wanted to draw a cactus tree, a saguaro, because they're just so much fun to do, and they crop up so many times in these workshops in all sorts of different formats. So, you know, having the opportunity to draw them, and you can't go wrong with a cactus because no one's going to count the stripes or count the spikes, or so you've got that one wrong. That doesn't look like the one I've got in my garden. I mean, it's not like that. So you can really play around with a lot of these shapes as well.
Would you say that this course is suitable for beginners?
Yeah, I mean, I know we grade them. So on the platform, we grade our courses. I think they go from level 1 to 4. Is that right, Rebecca, Lucy, Kayla?
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Shows you how much I know. So they go from 1 to 4, but they're all. I mean, anybody can access any one. I mean, some of them obviously are more advanced than others. Like, for example, Robin Hood's Bay is got such a lot of complex perspective in it. And then the beginner's course is obviously starting off in pencil. But I think all of my courses are suitable for beginners because of how we structure them. And we start off with the simplest shape, the simplest line. And we do the pen placement activity as well, which a lot of you will be familiar with. So even though the outcomes that you've just seen look incredibly complicated, we go through it step by step by step by step, because that's my background. I used to be a primary school teacher. And so I'm used to teaching small people, very, very small people. And I like teaching really complicated things in a very, very, hopefully, simple, structured way. I mean, that's my challenge as a teacher. And I kind of enjoy that challenge. So hopefully they are broken down and accessible for everybody, really.
Following on from that, you mentioned the pen placement. Is there any tips that you can give to the students that would help them simplify a busy, complex scene, such as this one that's on screen now?
Yeah. So what you've got to try and do is look beyond what it really is, and almost like forget about what it actually is in terms of a whole array of different kind of organic shapes and plants and things like that. And you've just got to see it as very, very simple shapes. So have you got the cursor? Who's got the cursor? Lucy?
Can you
Lucy,
see it?
right. Yeah, you see the big. You see the big one on the right, the one that touches the top there. Can you go over that so everyone knows what it is? The big one. Yeah. So that one there, I would just see that initially as a straight line, maybe bending over slightly to the right, but that's just the line to begin with. It's a straight line. And then the big kind of chunky one over on the left, the one that's nearest to you, that's a straight line as well. And the only difference between them is that one is slightly smaller than the other. That's all it is. So that's how you would see it. And then after that, you'd probably maybe put a few more in, getting a little bit smaller as they get into the middle of the picture. And then you'd probably just get the two elevations in. So on the left-hand side, you've got the homestead, and that would just be a straight line that comes down from the left down to the middle of the picture. And in the Rincon mountain range in the background, again, that would just be a straight line that comes down. So it's really, really simple to begin with. That's all it is. Yeah, Lucy, you drew that beautifully, by the way, I've just got to say. So it's very, very simple to begin with. And then from those simple lines, you put more things inside, whether they're shapes or patterns or lines going off in different directions. And then it just gets built up. So the key to keeping it simple when you've got confronted with a complex subject is just to look beyond perhaps what it really is and just look for those underlying structures that are there.
A question that we get asked quite a lot, and one that I think you change your answer to every single time, is how do you choose your colour?
Okay. Right, there's loads and loads and loads and loads of different ways in which I choose colours. For example, I'm going to go back to Misa again. I've just come back from America and I was on Madeline Island with Annie teaching, and I know Marianne was with me as well. And so for
Nancy and Lee.
Sorry, what did you say? What was that?
And Lee and Nancy. Lee's on here.
Lee. Hi, Lee. Hi, Nancy. See, I've been so busy talking, I've not had a chance to see who's here, you see. So thank you for that, Annie. So when I did the Madeline Island workshop recently, and all the other ones, the one I did before that in Germany, each workshop has a different set of colours. And that's important to me because I want to maximise the teaching opportunity. So perhaps on Monday, we'll focus on complementary colours. We'll maybe have 2 sets of complementary colours and we'll explore that. perhaps another day we'll really limit the palette to maybe just 3 colours. Another day it might be more of a localized colour approach where we're trying to match more kind of realistic colours. We might go for a kind of like a candy coloured sweet shop effect where we just bring out all the kind of playful kind of colours. So there's lots of different kind of colour journeys that I take the students on. But what is really important for me in what I'm teaching is the tonal value of the colour. So when you look at this landscape, this is a good example. Some of those colours are kind of realistic, and some of them are trying to be realistic, and some of them are just kind of like doing their own thing. You know, they've had a bad morning and they've just gone off on one. But what they've all kind of got in common is the tonal value, the tonal range. So when you look at the mountains behind, tonally, it kind of works. When you look at the tonal range within the cactus trees, you've got lots of contrasts, so it works. When you look at the foreground, it's got lots of washes and it kind of gets a bit lighter, so it works. So you can read the space. So the readability of the space within the colour is accurate, even though the colours themselves might be invented. And the colours are invented in that sense because it's so much more fun. And what I'm doing is I'm making art. I'm not trying to copy a photograph. I'm making art, and it's really important to remember that. When you make art, you need to be inventive and creative and playful and mess around and make mistakes. Okay? So what I tend to say is I let the colours come out to play, and the water helps them play nicely. And that's my quote, by the way. I don't think I read that anywhere. I pinched loads and loads of quotes from other people, but I think I kind of made that one up. So the colours come out to play and the water helps them play nicely. That's the primary school teacher in me saying that.
While we're on the subject of colour, we've had a lot of questions as well about white space, on how you decide where to keep white and where to put the colour.
Okay, should we show another slide then? Is that okay? Just flick it onto another slide and we can maybe focus on. No, not that one.
Let's go for this one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, this is a great one. This one will work really, really well. So in this particular picture, there's a lot of white space in the sky. I don't paint the sky because I'm not a plein air artist. I'm kind of pretending to be an urban sketcher. So I don't do anything in the sky. So the sky is white. It's just the white of the page. But there's a lot of kind of white perhaps in between the tree, and there's a lot of white on the ground, and the path is white as well. And there's lots of white within the corrugated roof. So I'm trying to balance out the bits of the picture where you leave white space and the parts of the picture where you're actually putting stuff on, whether it's colour, whether it's tone, whether it's pen work. And it's a kind of balancing act all the time. And unfortunately, there's no rules about this. You know, it's just really whatever the picture needs. And if we just flick onto perhaps another one, if you don't mind, and we'll just have a quick look at another one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. So again, you know, you can see there's a lot of white above and below the homestead, and there's lots of kind of white trying to be captured inside those saguaro cactus trees as well. And over on the left-hand side of the homestead, it's probably not white, but there's a lot of white permeating through the washes of colour. So it's just trying to keep a kind of freshness going on all the time as well. Because I think when you're drawing on white paper, you know, you've got 100% of white before you make your first mark on the page. And I think you've got to be mindful of that. You've got to get that white working for you, because every time you make a mark, you're losing a little bit of it. And the danger is that you end up losing too much and your pictures look a little bit heavy and dark and stodgy, and then you try and get it back again and it never quite works. So it's almost like you've got to just be, it's the white has to be in your mind all the time. You've got to be just aware every time you do something, you're losing a little bit of white. So then there comes a point when you don't want to lose any more, and that's when you stop painting or you stop drawing.
So still on the subject of colour, we've had a few comments or queries based upon saying, my watercolours always turn out very dark. Is it because of the paper or the paper quality? Even if I use a lot of paper, the paper absorbs the water and I can't seem to do light washes.
Yeah, that'll be paper quality. Yeah, maybe the paper's perhaps a bit too absorbent. I mean, I can't really say because I don't know what paper's being used, but some of the more kind of heavily textured papers, some of the cold press ones, they can absorb an awful lot of the water. So you're just kind of left with the pigments on top, and then it can look a little bit dark, and maybe it doesn't spread around quite as much. I use a hot press Fabriano, which is kind of very, very smooth, and it just lets the paint flow across really nicely, and you can get some really nice subtle translucent washes, which hopefully you can see in this particular picture. But I think if people are struggling with that, you've just got to really experiment with not just with the paper, but also the brushes as well. You know, because you maybe want to use perhaps some flatter brushes, some wide flat brushes, or kind of pastry brushes, as we sometimes call them, and practice with them. You know, just practice putting washes on and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, the best paper for you is the paper that you know how to.
Yeah, I like
also
this
on
one.
the-
It works for me. Yeah.
Also on the subject of paper, how do you figure out the scale of the sketch on the paper size that you've chosen?
Say that again. Just ask me that one again.
So how do you work out the scale of where your sketch is going to sit on the paper that you've chosen?
Ah, right. Okay, that's a great question. That's a really good question. Okay, can we look at the chuck wagon? Is that okay? Can we
Can
put the chuck?
the wagon.
I'm calling it a chuck wagon. It might not be a chuck wagon. It might be something completely different, but I decided to call this a chuck wagon because it is a bit small and I couldn't imagine a family quite getting inside. So with this one, scale really, really matters. Scale is really important because I said at the beginning, the focal point for this is storytelling. So it's not just about the wagon, it's about the background, it's about the setting, it's about the foreground as well, because the foreground is kind of telling you a lot about the age and the context of it as well. So getting the size the way it is really important, because if it was too big, it would dominate, the chuck wagon would dominate the picture and there'd be no context to it. And if it was too small, you wouldn't get the detail in. So working out the scale is kind of important. And it's also, you have to kind of think, well, why do I want it to be in a certain size? What's the story I'm trying to tell? What's my focal point in this? Is it just about the spokes? Is it just about the texture of the wood? In which case you'd make it so much bigger and it'd be much more of a kind of close-up view. Or is it a much wider, bigger story where you want to talk about the settings? So therefore you compress the scale to bring in the landscape behind. So the scale, again, it varies for every picture, and it depends on what it is you're focusing in on. And hopefully in the workshops, you know, we talk a lot about the scale, and you'll see the pen placement activity and the reason why things are being scaled in the way in which they are. Yeah, I think.
We've had quite a lot of questions of students who come from our beginners course asking, one of the hardest things that they've found is getting started with that first line and that first pen on the page. Is there any advice that you can give to brand new students to help overcome their nerves?
Yeah, wine really helps. Wine is great. Or maybe even a couple of beers. Yeah, it honestly, or tequila as well. Tequila is so good. So all those things really help. No, seriously, I think you've just got to remember that this is fun. You know, you're doing this for fun. No one's forcing you to do it, and you're not going to make a mistake. You cannot make mistakes. Nobody makes mistakes. You might put a line down and you think it's not quite where I want it to be, but it's exactly the right line for you at that moment in time. You know, every line is exactly where it needs to be. So if you're really worried about it, start off with pencil. And I don't mind if students start with pencil. I generally don't, unless it's a kind of online workshop. But on location, I always start off with the fine liner part of a brush pen. But if the students want to use a pencil, then it's absolutely fine. But you've just got to kind of like realize that this is for your enjoyment, and no one's forcing you to do it. It's your mark, it's your picture, and the pictures will grow You know, I think we can get worried and dominated and bossed around by those initial lines because they've got nothing else to support them. But once your picture starts growing and you start adding more things to it, those lines get pushed further and further back. And when I show students some of these original pictures and they can really look closely at them, they can see that some of those original lines are in slightly different positions. Because when you're putting your first line down, you're not capturing exactly the right mark and the right shape and the right space. What you're doing is you're putting a few kind of markers down to enable you to look more closely at the scene. So you're almost like creating like a bit of a frame for yourself. And then the next time you start drawing again, perhaps the next stage, you're looking at it more carefully because you've got that support network from step one. So it's a kind of process. And that process is all about looking deeper and deeper, which is why we kind of call some of these workshops layers of looking, because that's kind of what it is, to help you with those very first lines. That was a good answer. Wasn't that good? I hope we're recording this, by the way.
We are, just in case you forget. What about your quote that you made up as well about the first line?
Oh yeah, the first line. The first line isn't always the right line, but it's trying to be.
There you go.
I like that. I made that one up in Madeline Island. Annie was there. She can confirm that. The first line isn't always the right line, but it's trying to be. And there's another quote which unfortunately I didn't come up with, but I think it's so powerful. Annie, do you want to come in and tell everybody what it is? You know what it is, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I know who came up with it, but I won't say. Is it the one that says, make art to find out what's inside?
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so powerful.
That's a great one.
No,
I think you should take it.
I
Because
can't.
it's really what you do with your workshops, your in-person workshops.
Yeah. I wish I had come up with it, but it's such a great quote. Make art to find out what's inside you. And I think that's so powerful, everybody. Because if you don't, you won't find out. It's as simple as that. And I think in some ways it goes back to what we said before, Rebecca, about those first lines. People get afraid of those first lines, don't they? And if you keep worrying about those first lines, or you keep worrying about how much white you need to use, or you keep worrying about your paints being too dark, or whatever it might be, then you won't find out what's inside you, because you've got all sorts inside you. There's all sorts of stories that people can tell. And when I did this particular workshop, not this one because this is the online one, but the in-person one, I had, I think, 12 or 15 students with me in Tanque Verde, and everybody's picture was different. They don't all look like mine. That's not the point. They look a bit like mine because obviously they're following my instructions and I'm helping them and supporting them, but they look just like theirs. And that's what's important. It's helping people to find out what's inside them by expressing themselves. So all of these things that we're doing in Urban Sketch Course and with Madeline Island School of Art, all of the workshops that I teach, it's encouraging people to be better at being themselves, better artists within themselves, not to do what I do, but hopefully become better and more confident in their own form of expression. Because everyone's got their own different line, their own unique way of doing things and their own kind of preferred colours. So, you can take away from these workshops, these online workshops, and you can go and apply, hopefully, all these skills to your own work. And that's what's really important, I think, behind all of this.
Just on that note, Ian, we've had a question as well come through that's asked, how long did it take you to find your personal style, and how did you know that was your style?
Wow, that's a great question. Okay, I mean, my usual answer, which everyone hates and starts throwing things at me, is I say I don't think I've got a style. I just draw and paint what comes naturally to me. And I think because I've been doing it for a couple of years, I kind of hold the pen in a certain way, and I like playing around with color, and I go for fairly complex kind of scenes, and I like to tell stories. So if I've got a style, it's probably all those kind of things. But I just feel like I draw in a kind of very natural way for me. It's very kind of instinctive. But I've been doing it all my life. I mean, I started off years and years and years ago at school when I was maybe 14, 15, drawing seriously. And then I went to art college and did a fine arts degree in London. And I've been painting and drawing all my life. So, you know, this has taken me a long time to get to the stage where I kind of feel I do all the things that I want to do. I don't really kind of worry about what other people do. I just love doing what I do. And what really inspires me is subjects, different subjects around the world. So I don't really feel I've got a unique style because it just comes completely naturally to me. I think anyway. But I mean, most people would disagree with that and get really cross with me and start, you know, throwing things at me.
The normal workshop for you. We've had a question from Anchor who has asked, if you're on location and you can't find a good composition, do you use artistic license to combine other parts of different views into your scene?
Totally. Yeah. Who was that? Who's that question from?
That's from Anchor.
Anchor. That's a great question. Yeah, all the time. It's called urban sketching cheating, and it's wonderful. It's such a great thing to do because what we're doing is it's almost like the reverse of a photograph. So if you've got a photograph, you've got a limited amount of information in front of you because the edge of that photograph is as far as it goes. When you're on location, you've got unlimited information because you can scan from side to side. So if I was to take a photograph of this particular scene, the real scene, you wouldn't see those cactus trees as close to the chuck wagon, and you wouldn't see the mountains as high as they are. So a lot of those things have been changed, and I'm changing them to make my story of what I can see a lot clearer. And hopefully that exaggeration makes it maybe more powerful and more interesting. And that's what you can do on location. And that's also what you can do on the in-person workshops, the recorded workshops as well, because you're seeing me on location and I'm talking to you about why I'm deciding to bring that cactus tree forward. You know, why I've made the mountain range angled in a certain way, you know, why I've maybe twisted the shape of that metal spoke at the bottom, why I've peppered the ground with rocks rather than putting every single one in. I've just put a few in and I've really varied and exaggerated the different sizes and shapes of them. So all of those things are done for a reason, and it's all about storytelling and making that story much clearer for people. And also it makes it fun. You know, all of these things, there's an underlying element of fun. If you can manipulate a scene, you're in control of that scene. The scene isn't controlling you, you're in control. It's a bit like the opposite of an architect, you know, who's on a project and has to go and record a building and get every single window in place. This is the opposite. We don't count windows. We don't even count buildings, you know, we just draw what we can see and what we can fit onto the page. And that's where the fun is, because it empowers you as an artist, as a visual storyteller.
Trisha has just offered a great quote as well. Move the props onto your stage to make a good picture.
Was that Trisha?
That was, yeah.
That was great, Trisha. I love that. Can you say that again? I'm just quickly writing it down.
You're stealing it. Copyright it quick, Trisha. Move the props onto your stage to make a good picture.
That's great. Yeah, and that's what it is. And that's what we try and teach. It's what we all teach. You know, we're all trying to get people to do that, to give you the power, to empower you, because you don't want the subject to boss you around. I mean, it has to boss you. That's the whole point of doing it, you know, to a point. But you want to be in control. And that's what I try and show the students.
And we've had a question as well come through, which is something that we've actually been talking about quite a lot recently. And it's, do you ever look at where the light is coming from and create shadows?
Yeah, I'm kind of mindful of the light, really, I suppose, because of the students. We don't want the students to get like frazzled or melted. So we kind of have to be mindful of where the light source is coming from. And you wouldn't want the light to kind of be in your face. But in terms of picture making, and this is a good example, there is like a sense of shadow, if you like, but the shadow is not to indicate the specific light source of the sun. So the shadows are not kind of moving off from left to right. What the shadows are doing is they're giving weight to the object. So if you look at some of the rings, especially the ring in the foreground, the one at the front, and the one slightly to the left, you can see there's lots of dark areas below that. And that's to give it weight, so it looks like it's sitting on the ground. And if you look at the rings again, you can see some parts of the ring are darker, some of the lines are darker to give a little sense of 3D. And then if you look at some of the cactus trees, you know, some edges are darker than others. So the shadow, which is cast by the light, is being done in a fairly ambiguous way, because sometimes the light can be on the left, sometimes it can be on the right, and I kind of like that. But it's really to give solidity and weight to objects, and also mystery as well. So if you look underneath the body, the wooden body of the wagon, it's probably got a completely different name. I'm sure it's not called a body, but I'm going to call it a body. There's a lot of dark colour and dark tone under there. And that again is adding a little bit of mystery, a little bit of weight, making it more three-dimensional. So yeah, I am kind of mindful of the lights, but I don't really go chasing the sun around because it doesn't keep still, a bit like people.
Is there anywhere that you would like to sketch that you haven't yet sketched?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to really think about that. I want to go to Southeast Asia. I want to go to like Thailand or Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam's beautiful.
Yeah, I'd really like to go there. Yeah, they probably. I mean, I've kind of been to lots of places that I always wanted to go to, and in that sense, I've been really lucky. So yeah, I guess probably Southeast Asia would be, you know, maybe one of the next places on the list of places that I would love to go to, because all I'm doing is I'm just looking for shapes and new colours. That's all I kind of need, you know. And with this particular set of subjects, the storytelling potential was wonderful as well. Yeah.
Maybe while we've got about 75 Neils on the chat, we can get them to say, send Ian and Rebecca and Lucy to Southeast Asia. And then we've got written confirmation from Neil. If you had to give 3 tips to a beginner, what would they be?
Wow, three tips to a beginner. Look carefully. Have fun and don't worry.
Lovely.
I think looking carefully is one of the most underrated things that I think people, and I'm not you know, criticizing anybody, but I think it's the art of looking, isn't it? And thinking as you look, and trying to visualize things as well. You know, and that's really important. You know, it's looking carefully and trying to, because I know a lot of people, not so much students, but I've seen a lot of people, they dive in straight away and perhaps don't think about the composition. And for me, composition is really important. And a lot of sketches don't really worry about composition. They'll just draw anything, which is great. And that's a whole different way of working again. But for my work, and because I do fairly complex scenes, I like to tell quite rich stories, I think composition is really important to kind of, you know, structure everything together. So I think looking is important. Just look carefully, have fun, and don't worry. And buy lots of pens.
Speaking of pens, we had a question earlier about if you ever use coloured Tombos.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good point. I do use coloured Tombos in my pre-sketches. I don't use them in these because I don't like to combine coloured Tombos with watercolour, because I think it just gets a little bit kind of gets a bit messy, and it gets a bit complicated as well. If you've got like say an ultramarine blue Tombow, an ultramarine blue watercolour, it's kind of, well, what do I use? I'm not quite sure. And the quality of the coloured Tombows will never match the watercolour paint, and you won't get the same effects. So I just use them for quick pre-sketches. I was in Germany a couple of weeks ago in Berchtesgaden, and I did lots of coloured tombos. And when I was on Madeline Island a few weeks back as well, I used to come up with a couple of the very muted ones, and they're really helpful because they kind of help you to work out the colour composition, if not the exact colour. And in these workshops, we show a lot of the pre-sketches. In fact, we do show all the pre-sketches, so people get to see the warm-up sketches that I did on location while I was actually there with Misa in January, and then you'll get to see obviously the way in which the proper demonstration sketches are constructed as well. So you'll see the relationship between the pre-sketch, the initial drawing on location, and then the actual workshop one, which you see in there.
Fabulous. I think we've covered quite a lot of the questions in the chat. If anyone has any last minute queries that I've not answered.
Could we hear something about perspective? I asked a question about the way the verticals explode, and somebody else mentioned 3-point perspective with a downward vanishing point, which I'd never heard of. I'd be really interested to hear something about that.
Okay, we haven't really got a lot of perspective in these demonstrations. If we got the homestead one, that might be the best one we can talk about in terms of perspective. We'd even talk about the cars. Yeah, there's a little bit of perspective in this, Ian. So when we talk about perspective, if you look at the verticals on this particular one, and if you look at the left-hand edge of the homestead, Lucy, can you possibly put a little line down there for us? That's great. Yeah, it's not perfectly straight. Okay, it's kind of, as it goes up, it goes slightly over to the left. Now, that's not really to do with perspective. That's simply to do with drama, if you like. That's creating drama, because in reality that would be perfectly straight. But if it's perfectly straight, it's not doing anything. It's not saying anything. And then if you look at the right-hand edge of it on the other side, which is almost in the middle, that's kind of cutting the opposite way. So those verticals are splayed out. Now, that's not really a perspective thingy. That's simply just to do with drama. You know, it's bending things, twisting things to make you, like I said before, to make your story more exaggerated.
It's something which you seem to do in lots of your, particularly urban scenes with buildings, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I noticed it straight away with the Porto Square in the free.
Yeah.
But is that, I mean, it's unique to you, but it's not something that everybody does, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I think a lot of people do. It goes back to what it is you're trying to say in your pictures. So what I'm trying to do in my pictures is I'm trying to make them, I'm trying to invite people into them. I want people to look at them. I mean, that's the purpose, I think, of any artist. You know, you want people to look at your work. So you have to make it curious and intriguing. You have to bend things around and shape things. Well, I do anyway. And because I get perspective, and I learned perspective when I was very, very young, you can then feel you can start just playing with it a little bit, but you've got to question, why am I playing with it? You know, some artists don't. There's some fabulous drawers out there who do not alter perspective at all, because that's their thing. You know, they love, maybe they've got perhaps a more technical background than me, but my background is as an artist. I've been an artist all my life, and my work over the years has been a lot more abstract than this. So I'm coming at this is as realistic as I can draw. I can draw it a lot more dramatic. I can play around with it a lot more. I can make it a lot more messy, because that's what I was doing for a long, long time. So this for me is kind of tightening things up. But because I come from a background of being a much more dramatic, expressive, creative artist, I can kind of rein things in, but still have those little twists and those little bends as well. Can we just move on and look back at the wagon? Because the wagon, on the body of the wagon, it's probably got a good example of perspective. So this is a much better example, because if you look at the back of the wagon and you look at the side of the wagon, they're on two different planes. They're on two 90-degree planes. So the horizontals are going to go off in different directions in terms of their vanishing points. So that those two lines there, their vanishing points are going to be way over on the left-hand side. And the two that Lucy's just drawn now, their vanishing points are going to be over on the right-hand side. Now that is slightly exaggerated. Not a lot, but just slightly. because the whole nature, the whole style, the whole flavour of the picture is a bit exaggerated. The colours are dramatic, the content's compressed. I'm bringing everything in because I want to tell a very, very visually interesting story. So the perspective gets bent ever so slightly. I want to control the perspective for me. I want the perspective to work for me. I don't want the perspective to boss me around. So I'll bend it, manipulate it, and shape it. But you can only do that if you really understand what's going on. You have to really understand it. Also, if you look at the bottom as well, I don't know if you can show this, Lucy, but you know the wheel on the left-hand side, the one, yeah. Underneath that, there's perspective going the other way, going like underneath. So it's no. This is going to be like so hard to no, sorry, go the opposite way. So where the wheel is, if you go to the right and go up kind of like north, that's it. Yeah, brilliant, that's perfect. So that's showing perspective as well. Now that line there that Lucy's just drawn is on the same plane as the back of the wagon, right? So those two lines are going in the same direction. Can you see? Because they're on the same plane, even though one line is like a load of jumble of boxes and pieces of wood and stones and planks of wood and all that kind of stuff, and the other one is like the back of the wagon. They're actually going off in the same direction. They're pointing towards the same vanishing points. So there's a lot of perspective, and all the grains of wood, all the grains that you can see on the panels, they're all following the same laws of perspective.
Yeah,
so
that was very useful. It was particularly the verticals, because in photography, you know, if you take a picture of a building, actually you get this horrible thing where they converge.
Yeah.
And you're doing the exact opposite. You're making them go apart.
Yeah. So sometimes I do the other way around. I do. I try and do whatever I feel the picture needs. So sometimes I do converge them in the other way, but I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, and it just makes it more dramatic. It's all about drama, I think. And
right.
It's also partly because when Ian's sketching on location, you're not seeing the flat image that a photographer would see. So Ian, when you're seeing a photograph, things will naturally splay because your eye line is in a certain point. But if Ian's on location, he's trying to represent what he can see as someone passing by, or and his eye level's kind of much higher. So it doesn't necessarily have that same visual effect because you can move your viewpoint a lot more and represent that in the sketch. It's something that's difficult, I think, to get across because there's a lot of things in urban sketching that confuse, because I'm a photographer myself, and there's things that Ian will do and I'll be like, why are you doing that? That makes no sense to me whatsoever, because it's not the same sort of mindset of you use as a photographer. So it's quite a confusing way of sort of approaching it, I think, to begin with. So you've got more hurdles to jump, I'm afraid, than everyone else.
Yeah. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Just finally, Ian, we've had some questions about what would you say is the difference between a sketch and, let me find the right wording for you, sorry. What is the difference between sketching and drawing?
I don't know. I don't think there is any, really. Just different words describe the same thing, I think. I suppose some people would say sketching is quicker, I think, and drawing is slower. But that's, I don't know, that's maybe just how I interpret the words. But I think they're really kind of the same thing. I think people often associate sketching with something really, really quick. But I sketch quickly, but I take a long time on my pictures. So I don't know. I don't really think there's much difference between them. They're just words, aren't they? You can draw quickly and you can sketch slowly. So I don't think it really matters. They're just, two different words to pretty much describe the same thing.
And finally, do you have any hobbies or interests outside of urban sketching, or is life 100% urban sketching?
Oh God, no! I've got loads. I've got loads of hobbies. I can't really mention most of them on this. But I like playing guitar. I play guitar really badly. And so when I do in-person workshops, especially with MISA, I always have a guitar because they very, very kindly bought a guitar not for me just me, but for all the instructors and students that play. So I always play guitar for the students until they ask me to stop. They say, like, Ian, will you please stop playing guitar? We're trying to draw, we're trying to sketch.
What's your favorite thing to play on the guitar, Ian?
Sorry, what was that?
What's your favorite thing to play on the guitar?
I play Stairway to Heaven. I was playing that just before. I play Stairway to Heaven. I've just started playing Purple Rain by Prince, which is dead easy. It's only 4 chords. And I'm trying to sing that at the moment, but my voice can't get high enough. So I do sing as well. And that's awful for the students. I always have to apologize afterwards. I used to do a lot of running, which I've stopped now. I cycle. I went for a big bike ride today. I go to the gym quite a bit as well. I love to read history. I'm really interested in history. I'm also really interested in politics as well, but I'm banned from talking politics in America, especially, which is a real shame. Yeah, but I'm really interested in like just stuff that goes on in the world, you know. I don't have any opinions on it, but I'm really interested in other people's opinions because I can never make my mind up what I think because I'm like a typical Libra. I just sit on the fence and just, you know, find out what other people think, which is interesting. Right, we've got something special now.
Competition.
Yeah. Okay.
So, there's random drawings on the screen. How do I get rid of them?
Right, who's gonna? Do you want me to explain it, or do one of you ladies want to do it?
You do it, Ian.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll have to, before I ask the question, I'll have to explain the rules. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, we need to be really clear on the rules here, guys, because we have got nearly 200 people still with us, okay? So this is the first prize on the left, second prize on the right. These are pre-sketches that I did. Well, one's a pre-sketch on the right, and on the left is the completed demonstration sketch for the Trail Falls workshop that we presented a couple of weeks ago. So you get to win the originals of these, right? Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask the question, and then Rebecca or Lucy or Kayla are going to give you a timer, and the timer is 1 minute, okay? And we need the right answer. So the winner is the person who gets the right answer, and the person in second place will be the one who gets the next nearest answer after we've chosen a winner. Okay, so basically I'm going to ask you the question in a minute and just tap in your answer as quickly as you can, because it's the first right answer gets to win. So you don't want to take the whole minute up, all right? You don't want to be thinking about it for too long. So we just need an answer, and the answer is going to be a number, all right? No, Molly, stop it. Don't put answer in now. That you're being silly. Take that away, right? Molly's just put answer in, right? So you need to give us a number. Don't just give us any number, right? Wait till you hear the question, okay? Have I explained that okay? I think I have, haven't I?
I think so, yeah.
Right, okay.
Molly said the answer is Neil.
Guys, listen, I know it's been a long webinar, right? We've been going for well over an hour, but we haven't asked the question yet, just so you know. We're going to ask the question in a moment. I'm just explaining the rules. You need to give us a number. So, no, I don't want 42. Take that away. Oh my God. You know what? This is what it used to be like at school with the kids. I'm just going to ask the question. Okay, I have just shown you 5 demonstration sketches. 5 demonstration sketches from the Wild West workshops. I need to know how many saguaro cactus trees, they're the long thin ones, did I draw all together in all 5 workshops? How many?
Right, I'm starting.
Start the timer. It's gone.
Oh,
I've seen one really close already.
Oh God, you guys are quick.
I've seen one really close.
Yeah.
We're going to stop this. We're going to stop this at a minute. Someone's just put 1. How can it be 1?
I found an answer.
Stop. Right. Okay.
Oh, you found it.
Did you? I saw a right answer then as well. Yeah. Annie, how can it be 21? There's like over 30 in the landscape one. Love. Come on, seriously.
Who was that?
I saw a right answer then as well. Can you go back in the chat and see who it was?
Having a look through.
Oh,
It is
Because I missed it.
Melanie Shoulders.
Silvers?
Who is
So we've
there?
got 75.
Yeah, Melanie Chilvers. Melanie, you have got the right answer. The right answer is 75. Congratulations.
Well done.
Well, that's cheating if you put it now you've said it.
75 is the right answer. Okay, and we'll work out who came second. I think somebody got 73.
Yeah,
I think
73.
Molly's got 73 quite early
And-
on.
Yeah. Now, Tamara, lovely lady, great student. She was with me in Berkish Garden. Tamara, I'd like to know why you put 1. Okay. A bit worried about that. 1. Seriously? 1? I mean, we're just looking at the chuck wagon. There's about 30 in that one. Okay, but congratulations to Melanie. Do we know who's come second with 73?
Molly's.
Is it
was the
Marley?
first.
So Marley's came second with 70. So
Okay.
we'll get your details off you, and you will be getting the original demonstration sketches sent over to you. Okay. Congratulations. Thank you so much. 75. Guys, please don't start counting them all over again. Okay. Don't go through it and say, no, there's actually 76. Because some of them are only small, by the way. Some of them are only tiny. And it is the saguaro ones, the prickly pears, and the other ones, the choyas. They don't count. Okay.
Double checking. That was the fastest I've ever seen numbers fly by my screen. I feel like I was at bingo.
That was amazing. I love the fact that some people were answering, putting numbers up before we'd ask the question. That is just hilarious. That's so good. That was great.
I mean,
Thank
that
you.
looks like we're plugging ourselves, but this person that says that's Neil Maxwell Keys saying become a plus member, that's not actually our Neil Maxwell Keys. Brill. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. Hopefully you've all had a fun time and you've learnt some information about Ian, about Urban Sketch Course, and about Misa and the Wild West. The Wild West course is coming out to everybody on our mailing list on the 11th of August. If you're not already a member, please join. We have a free course available for you to give it a try, which is, it was the Porto sketch, I think. So yeah, there's a free course there for you. Anyone who is a Plus member, you get first access to the course on the 9th, which is 2 whole days before everybody else. If you're not already a Plus member, we'll drop you all an email with some links to that too, and some catch-up links for anyone who's missed any parts of tonight's webinar. Thank you to everyone who's joined us, and thank you to all of my team who joined too, and Neil, who's joined 10 times apparently. That's great. And thanks for Annie as well for having the time, and the guys who are over at
Thanks, Annie.
who joined. And Ian, thank you so much for
Annie, while you're there, just remind me, when's my next trip over with you guys? I can't remember.
Thanks, Ian. That was a great plug. Yeah, Ian's coming back here to Bar Harbor in Maine. His first time to the East Coast. He's going to be in Bar Harbor, Maine. And then the dates for that are, I'll tell you 1 second. The dates are, Ian, you
30th of October,
right?
30th of September to 4th of October.
Thank you. Yes, it is September 30th through October 4th.
Yeah.
He will be in Bar Harbor, Maine. We'll be visiting the Acadia National Park, doing rocky landscapes, visiting harbors and boats, and charming, cute downtown buildings of Bar Harbor. We also will accept day students. So if you don't want to stay with us and you have friends in the area, we certainly would, encourage you to join us since it's his first time there. It'll be good fun.
Thank you. That's great. Thanks, Annie. Thank you so much. Sorry to put you on the spot there. I know you weren't ready for that. Thank you.
Brill, thank you so much to everyone. It's been a lovely evening and it's great to see all of your faces. And we hope to see you all again soon. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks,
Coming, everyone.
guys. It's been lovely to see so many familiar faces as well. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Scott. Oh, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Jim.
Thank you.